No one remembers the exact moment the signal arrived, because when it first appeared, it didn't look like a signal at all. It wasn't loud, it wasn't urgent, it didn't interrupt anything. It simply existed, quietly, patiently. For decades, humanity scanned the universe looking for noise, radio bursts, energy spikes, repeating patterns. They believed intelligence would shout. They were wrong. This signal did not shout, it waited. At first, scientists dismissed it as background distortion, random interference caused by dying stars or collapsing matter, the kind of noise that fills the universe endlessly. But something about it refused to disappear. It didn't drift, it didn't decay, it stayed exactly where it was, as if it knew where to stand. Deep inside a forgotten research facility, far from politics and headlines, a young human girl stared at the data for reasons even she didn't understand. She wasn't the most decorated scientist, she wasn't famous, she wasn't powerful, she was simply patient. While others searched for patterns, she listened for silence. And in that silence, she noticed something impossible. The signal wasn't repeating, it was breathing. Every observation cycle, it adjusted itself by an amount too small to notice casually. Not enough to be predictable, not enough to be random, just enough to feel deliberate. She checked the instruments again, then manually recalibrated everything. The signal remained unchanged, except when she watched it. The first time she realized this, she told no one. Not because she was afraid, but because she didn't yet have words for what she felt. The data didn't scare her, the attention did. Across the world, research teams argued endlessly. Some claimed the universe was empty by design. Others insisted intelligence destroyed itself before spreading too far. But none of them noticed the most important detail. The signal never moved. The universe expanded, galaxies drifted, stars died. The signal stayed. Late one night, alone in the control room, the girl changed a single variable. She stopped observing. The moment she looked away, the signal shifted, not away from her instruments, toward them. Her breath slowed. She didn't panic, she didn't call for help. She simply turned back and watched. The signal froze again, as if pretending nothing had happened. That was the moment she understood. This wasn't a message, it was a test. Over the following weeks, she changed her routine. She altered sleep cycles. She observed at irregular intervals. Each time, the signal adjusted itself, not to the instruments, but to her presence. When she was calm, it stabilized. When she was anxious, it fluctuated. It wasn't reading machines, it was reading her. Eventually, she reported her findings. The response was predictable: dismissal, laughter, concern for her mental health. Humans were not ready to accept a universe that watched back. Funding was cut, the project was archived, the data labeled inconclusive. But the signal did not leave. It had already found what it was looking for. On the final night before the facility was shut down, the girl returned one last time, not as a scientist, not as a researcher, but as a human. She spoke aloud, not into a microphone, not into a recorder, just into the empty room. "I see you," she said quietly. The signal responded. For the first time in recorded history, it changed shape, not frequency, not amplitude, intent. The lights flickered, the instruments screamed, and somewhere beyond space and time, something ancient acknowledged her existence. The invitation had begun. That was the first mistake humanity would have made, trying to translate it. Because this was not language, it was alignment. After the signal changed, the data no longer behaved like information. It behaved like intent. The instruments could still record it, but they could no longer understand it. Equations failed, models collapsed, and yet the girl understood. Not intellectually, instinctively. She began to dream differently. Not visions, not images, distances. She could feel how far things were, not in space, but in attention. Something was closer now. Governments were notified too late. By the time committees formed and debates began, the decision had already been made, not by humans, by whatever had been waiting. The invitation was not sent to Earth, it was sent through Earth, and it did not ask. On the night the message fully unfolded, every major observatory received the same anomaly, a distortion in space that refused to be measured. Satellites lost synchronization, atomic clocks disagreed with themselves. Time hesitated. Only one system did not malfunction, the one she was standing in front of. As alarms echoed through distant facilities, her console displayed a single shift in pattern. The signal was no longer observing, it was pointing, not at a location, at a possibility. She felt it then, a pressure behind her thoughts, not invasive, not violent, curious, as if something ancient was trying to understand how a human decides. The message finally resolved into something interpretable, not sound, not text, selection. Out of billions of minds, only one matched the criteria, not intelligence, not authority, tolerance. Humans had always believed strength was loud. The signal disagreed. Across the planet, people slept unaware. No sirens, no invasion, just a quiet narrowing of focus. When the confirmation came, it did not arrive as fear, it arrived as clarity. She knew she was chosen before anyone told her. The official explanation came hours later. Vague language, controlled panic. An unidentified cosmic phenomenon had requested a biological interface, not a representative, not a leader, a reference. She was escorted without resistance, no chains, no guards, because she never considered refusing. The invitation wasn't external, it felt inevitable. As she stood inside the containment chamber, the air around her began to lose meaning. Not pressure, not temperature, certainty. The walls vibrated without moving, the floor bent without breaking. Space itself folded, not violently, politely. For a brief moment, every human system lost her signal. She did not vanish, she transitioned. The universe on the other side was not empty, it was organized, too organized. Geometry existed where it shouldn't. Light behaved with intention. Distance felt optional. And still, no aliens appeared. No voices, no forms, only observation. She realized then that this place was not built for bodies, it was built for minds. Thoughts slowed, memories surfaced without emotion. The environment did not threaten her, it waited for her to define herself. Somewhere beyond perception, a collective intelligence adjusted its models. This human did not resist, she did not beg, she adapted. That made her dangerous. The invitation was complete, the test was about to begin. The test did not begin with pain. That was intentional. Pain could be measured, fear could be anticipated, resistance could be analyzed. This was none of those things. This was absence. There was no sky above her, no ground beneath her, only a sense of being held in place by something that did not require touch. The environment responded slowly, as if waiting to see what she would define first. Time passed differently here. Not faster, not slower, selectively. Moments stretched when she hesitated, collapsed when she acted. The system was not testing reaction, it was testing preference. Images appeared, not projected, recalled. Her childhood home, familiar voices, human warmth. Then they were removed, not erased, withheld. The pressure increased, not on her body, but on her need to resolve uncertainty. Most species broke here. She did not. Instead of reaching outward, she turned inward. Breathing slowed, thoughts simplified. The test did not begin with pain. That was intentional. Pain could be measured. Fear could be anticipated. Resistance could be analyzed. This was none of those things. This was absence. There was no sky above her, no ground beneath her, only a sense of being held in place by something that did not require touch. The environment responded slowly, as if waiting to see what she would define first. Time passed differently here. Not faster, not slower, selectively. Moments stretched when she hesitated, collapsed when she acted. The system was not testing reaction, it was testing preference. Images appeared, not projected, recalled. Her childhood home, familiar voices, human warmth. Then they were removed, not erased, withheld. The pressure increased, not on her body, but on her need to resolve uncertainty. Most species broke here. She did not. Instead of reaching outward, she turned inward. Breathing slowed, thoughts simplified. The environment adjusted again. Isolation followed. No memories, no sensations, just awareness. A lesser mind would have filled the void with fear. She filled it with patience. The observers noted this. Across dimensions beyond human comprehension, models recalculated. This subject did not collapse under silence. She stabilized within it. The test escalated. Contradictions appeared. Two truths occupying the same space, both valid, both impossible. Her task was not to choose, it was to exist without resolution. Humans were not designed for this, and yet she endured. Pain finally arrived, briefly, enough to register vulnerability, not enough to dominate. She acknowledged it, then let it pass. The system paused. Something had gone wrong, or very right. She was not optimizing for survival. She was optimizing for meaning. That had never happened before. The test continued. Understanding came without celebration. That was the first truth revealed. This system did not reward success. It recorded deviation. She was shown others, not visually, conceptually. Civilizations that rose and fell without ever knowing why. Species that reached the threshold and failed, not because they were weak, because they were predictable. The purpose became clear. The universe was not empty, it was filtered. Advanced intelligence did not conquer, it curated. It allowed growth only where outcomes remained uncertain. Humanity was not unique, it was unfinished. The girl was not a hero, she was a sample. The collective intelligence revealed itself partially. Not a being, not a machine, a process older than stars. Its task was simple: prevent stagnation. Species that optimized too early were removed. Species that collapsed were ignored. Only those who adapted without conclusion were allowed to continue. Humans had never been evaluated before. They were too inconsistent, too emotional, too unstable. Now that instability was being measured. The girl was shown futures, some where humanity dominated, some where it vanished quietly, most where it destroyed itself. None were fixed. That unsettled the observers. This human refused to converge. She did not seek certainty, she accepted flux. The truth settled. Humanity was neither threat nor asset. It was an anomaly, and anomalies required supervision. The judgment did not arrive as a verdict. It arrived as silence. The collective recalculated. Models conflicted. Human behavior did not collapse into probability. The girl was given one opportunity, not to speak, to define. She did not defend humanity. She did not glorify it. She stated a simple truth. Humans change when observation changes them. That was enough. The system adjusted again. Humanity was not approved. It was deferred. She was returned without explanation. Memories blurred. Details softened. Only impressions remained. On Earth, instruments normalized. Governments buried reports. Life resumed. But something had shifted. The signal remained, no longer watching, waiting. And far beyond human perception, the process expanded its parameters. Humanity would be observed again, not soon, not never. The first test was complete.